Hack. The emotions now in Israel are so strong that I can't see Benjamin Netanyahu surviving.
On Triple J.
A huge strike is taking place right now in Israel. It's expected to impact businesses, banks, hospitals, transport, even schools. And it comes after massive protests in Israel overnight, with tens of thousands of people rallying after 6 hostages were found dead in Gaza.
Hack.
We're grieving the death of 6 hostages. They should have come back alive.
Finger on the trigger was Hamas, but the person behind these murders is our Prime Minister.
The government should resign. They should all resign, and we should have elections. And someone should come who can protect us.
Tens of thousands of people have been out on the streets across Israel in protest.
One of the most devastating days in the last 11 months. My heart is broken.
On Triple J.
So what does all this mean for ceasefire negotiations, for what's happening in Gaza and Benjamin Netanyahu's future? Well, Dr. Ran Porat is a lecturer and analyst on Israel and Middle Eastern affairs at Monash University, and he's with us now. Ran, thank you very much for joining us on Hack. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu has been facing a lot of pressure for a while. How serious is this latest protest and strike movement when it comes to his future?
So, hi, Dave. It's very serious, although I tend to you should understand that you can never bet against Netanyahu in Israeli politics. That will be a losing bet. So the mass protest are people being fed up of what they see as political maneuvers, slowing down or even blocking possible agreement with Hamas because of Netanyahu's insistence on various issues of the negotiations, specifically something called the Philadelphia Corridor. That is the 14 kilometers of border on the southern part of Gaza that Hamas used in the past 15 years to smuggle people, weapons, money, drugs, you name it. So the control of that area is, from Netanyahu's point of view, vital. On the other hand, Hamas, which we know is a terrorist organization that is responsible for the October 7th massacre, wants to keep control of that area or gain control of that area in any ceasefire deal, because they want the ability to rehabilitate themselves through that corridor with all this smuggling from Sinai Desert into the Gaza Strip. So Netanyahu is adamant that he won't move on this point. But the people around him, the negotiators, the Israeli negotiators, the mediators, US, Qatar, and Egypt, are saying that he's actually his insistence is causing major problems in completing any deal. Which is now doesn't look like it's close.
So how volatile is it in the Israeli government at the moment? Like, is there a lot of division? Are people not happy with him? Do we know what voters think about him?
That's an interesting thing. If you run polls in Israel until, I would say, 2 months ago, Netanyahu would barely get any support. Now his support numbers are quite high, or much higher than expected. It's not that he's going to win the elections. He's not. But he holds on to his position, and elections are not expected for another at least 2 years in Israel, unless the government falls down beforehand. And for that to happen, inside his 64 members of the parliament, Knesset, majority, you need at least 4, if not 5, to defect to the opposition. And that doesn't seem likely, because all these members of the current coalition, know that in any next election, they'll be out of office, because they're so much unpopular since October 7th. They're being blamed, accused for responsibility for that catastrophe, and they're actually behaving quite insensitively towards the very, very touching and sad issue of the hostages.
How likely is it, do you think, that these protests and the strike that we're seeing that's starting right now and is expected to continue all day in Israel, affecting so many parts of life, that is going to force some action from Netanyahu to change his tactics? Because we have seen big protests in Israel before. Before October 7, there were big protests against Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. How likely do you think this will be to change how he's running the country?
I would say not very likely. The one time that such a mass protest, including with the major unions, happened was a year and a half ago, and it forced Netanyahu to reverse his decision to fire the defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and now that defense minister is like the voice of reason inside the government. His fierce opposition. But this is not the same thing. This is, from Netanyahu's perspective, this is a do or die. I shall not move from that position about the Philadelphia corridor and other issues. And he's actually playing down the possibility of a deal, saying, I would say with some degree of correctness, that Hamas is actually rejecting the deal. Hamas has maximalist demands, such as complete withdrawal of Israeli forces or not giving up enough details about the hostages in their hands. And we've seen what Hamas is. Hamas executed at the last minute. Hostages were about to be freed. So yes, Netanyahu has lots of responsibility for what is happening. Those mass protests are pain for him. It doesn't. Of course, this is a democracy, but I don't think they'll change his basic policies, as he has enough political power behind him to continue in what he believes is correct.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Ran Porat from Monash University. Thanks for coming on Hack.
Thank you.